Welcome to Storyflix. In this video, we will explain Mars Tada, Kimi wo aishiteru. This movie tells the love story between two high school students, namely Kira, an extremely introverted artist, and Rei, an outgoing playboy with a frightening, violent side. How will their love story unfold? Let's find out in Mars Tada, Kimi wo aishiteru.
Mars Tada kimi wo aishiteru.
Mars Tada, Kimi wo aishiteru tells a story of a young man standing on the edge of a beach named Rei Kishino. Rei was seen watching a girl sitting alone, looking at the ocean. Rei then approached her to talk to her. The girl's name is Kira, a loner and stiff girl who finds it difficult to socialize with new people. Because Kira is seen as a weak girl, she is often bullied by her classmates. But since Kira met Rei, her life slowly began to change. Rei helps Kira escape from her bullied friends, and her previously dark life begins to find its light slowly. The relationship between Kira and Rei is getting closer, and now they are starting to have a relationship as couples. They decided to live together and protect each other. They both hope that their togetherness can lead them to the happiness they have been looking for. That day, Rei and Kira were talking to each other in their room. Then Kira tells Rei that she wants the two of them to spend Christmas Eve together and watch the Christmas tree together. Rei agreed and immediately hugged Kira. The atmosphere became more romantic, and Rei immediately laid out Kira's body and kissed her. When Rei's hand squeezed Kira's shoulder, Kira suddenly remembered a terrible memory from her past, so she pushed him away and immediately left the room. Rei seemed surprised by Kira's reaction and was confused by her attitude. Kira then told it to her friend named Harumi. After hearing that, Harumi thought that Rei might object to Kira not wanting to have sex with him. Moreover, Rei was previously known as a young man who likes to change girlfriends. So it will be difficult for Rei to control himself. Strangely, since Rei met Kira, his personality has changed. Now Rei is gentler and sweeter. He has become more responsible and reliable. That day, Rei met his friend named Tetsuya to go bowling together and talk to each other. In that conversation, Tetsuya told Rei that he had fallen in love with Harumi. Hearing that, Rei then advised him to immediately express his feelings to Harumi. But Tetsuya still didn't dare to do that. Elsewhere, there is a handsome-looking male student named Kirishima. Kirishima was busy painting in his school's art room. Even though two other girls kept bothering him, Kirishima didn't care about them. Kirishima is indeed quite popular at school because of his handsome face, tall body, and drawing skills. Kira came into the art room shortly after, and Kirishima sent the two girls away. It turns out that Kira and Kirishima have known each other since they joined the same art club. Kirishima seems to have feelings for Kira, but he hides his feelings from her. As Kirishima walked home in the school corridor, a beautiful girl came to see Kirishima and said she wanted to date him. Kirishima refused the girl's invitation. The girl then realized that Kirishima had been in love with Kira. Kirishima couldn't hide his feelings, even though he denied it feeling. The girl explained that Kira really didn't like men in the past, but now she has changed a lot. It turns out that the girl had known Kira when she was in middle school, so she knew about Kira, who used to not like boys. Hearing this, Kirishima became constantly thinking about it. That night, Kira comes to where Rei works as a construction worker to bring him dinner and talk to him. Then Kira asks Rei if he still wants to be with her, even though she can't have sex yet. Rei calms Kira down by saying that he doesn't mind it and that she doesn't have to feel sorry for him. Rei then hugged Kira gently while saying that her condition would not change his love for her. When summer vacation arrives, Rei, Kira, Tetsuya, and Harumi spend time together, eating barbecues in the park. Harumi said that Rei and Kira looked very happy when they were together and their interactions seemed to match. Hearing that, Tetsuya immediately asked Harumi if she was willing to be his girlfriend. But Harumi became annoyed that Tetsuya confessed his feelings so easily. On the way home, Rei and Kira meet a girl who is none other than Rei's ex-girlfriend. The girl tells Kira to immediately end her relationship with Rei because he is a cheater and only likes to play with women. She adds that Kira should leave Rei immediately for her own good. Then the girl walked away from them. On the other hand, Kirishima hangs out with a man in a cafe. It seems Kirishima has hired the man to investigate Kira's past. After reading the file brought by the man, he finally knows of the dark trauma of Kira's past. The next day when Kira was taking a book from her locker, Kirishima approached her and whispered something in her ear. After hearing that whisper, Kira looked very surprised and worried. When Rei suddenly came and asked if something was wrong, Kira replied that she was fine. Even though Kira tried to hide her fear, Rei could still sense that she was hiding something. Kira came to the art room to meet Kirishima during the lunch break. Kira wanted to confirm what she had heard from Kirishima earlier. Kirishima then promises to hide Kira's past trauma from Rei if she is willing to end her relationship with Rei. Kirishima wanted to see the former Rei, a tough person who dared to do anything and could get rid of anyone. Kirishima felt that Rei had turned into a weak person ever since he met Kira. After school, Rei goes to Kirishima and asks about the thing he has been hiding with Kira. But Kirishima instead told Rei to end his relationship with Kira without explaining. Rei became very annoyed and grabbed Kirishima by the collar, saying that Kirishima should stop interfering with his relationship with Kira. While Kira is walking home, she is interrupted by two strangers who want to harass her. Kira panicked and tried to escape, but the two men continued to annoy her. When one of the men grabbed Kira's shoulder, she fell limply and screamed loudly. Kira looks very scared because she remembers her painful past trauma. Rei, who accidentally hears Kira's scream, immediately runs to save her. Rei angrily beat the two men until they decided to run away. Rei immediately helped Kira and tried to bring her home. But when Rei touches Kira, she is still very scared and Rei realizes that she has a painful trauma in her past. Arriving at home, Kira told Rei that back when she was in middle school, her stepfather used to hurt her and harass her repeatedly. The incident kept happening from time to time until Kira couldn't take it anymore and finally decided to kill her stepfather. That's why Kira always remembers the trauma caused by her stepfather every time a man touches her roughly. After Kira explained that, she had a panic attack and kept holding her head while constantly blaming her stepfather. Hearing all that, Rei was speechless and didn't know what to do. Shortly after, Kira chose to leave Rei. That night, Kira comes to Harumi's place and stays at her house. The next day, Kira came to school as usual and acted as if nothing had happened. On the other hand, Kirishima plans to turn Rei into his former form. According to Kirishima, Rei was a strong and beautiful figure. Kirishima loves Rei's character very much and considers Rei a valuable treasure for him. Kirishima will get rid of anyone who gets in the way of his plans. The scene switches to painful memories from Rei's past. It turns out that Rei has lost his brother named Sei. Sei died due to ending his own life because Rei had snatched his girlfriend. Feeling guilty, Rei finds it difficult to control his own emotions. Rei always beat up everyone who got in his way. Sei had a very close relationship with Kirishima and often spent time together. That's why Kirishima knew about Rei's past. Now that Kirishima no longer sees a strong figure in Rei, he wants to rebuild the character in Rei. The next day, Harumi meets Rei to talk about Kira. Harumi asks Rei if he is willing to get back together with Kira and start loving her for who she is. When talking about the sadness and difficulties that Kira feels, Rei becomes sad and wants to protect her. The next day, Rei decides to come to meet Kira and take her to the beach they used to go to together. Even though Kira was in the middle of class at that time, Rei still took her out with him. When they arrive at the beach, Rei tells Kira that he will help her forget her painful past. Then the two of them played with sand and built sandcastles together like little children. Through that togetherness, they can find happiness together. Since then, they decided to get back together and take care of each other. On the other hand, Kirishima reveals that the one who actually made Sei end his life was him. Kirishima used to tell Sei that he was an obstacle and the reason Rei became suffered. The next day, Rei and Kira were forced to meet the principal to get a warning because they both left class. After that, when Rei and Kira had lunch together, Kirishima came to Rei and whispered into his ear about Kira's dark past. Hearing that, Rei became furious at Kirishima. He then slammed Kirishima's body so that he was thrown. Even so, Kirishima still continued to provoke Rei's anger until he strangled Kirishima's neck. Rei almost killed him, but luckily Kira came and stopped Rei right then. Kirishima, who managed to provoke Rei's strong character from within, felt happy and satisfied, while Kira became weak because the Rei she had just seen was not the Rei she had known all along. After all that had happened, Kirishima's past was finally revealed. Ever since Kirishima was a child, he had already had the soul of a psychopath. Kirishima was bullied by a classmate when he was in elementary school, so Kirishima hit his friend's head with a rock, and his friend was run to the hospital. That's why Tetsuya told Rei to stay away from Kirishima. The next day, Kira comes to see Kirishima talk to him. Kira asks Kirishima to stop bothering Rei and stop interfering with her relationship with Rei. Surprisingly, Kirishima was willing to concede and promised not to disturb Rei, but on the condition that Kira would meet him after school without anyone knowing. Although a little hesitant, Kira finally agreed. Elsewhere, Rei is seen having problems with his motorbike. He had to go to a repair shop to fix his motorbike. On the other hand, Kira and Kirishima are seen walking together into an empty room, and it is seen by several girls who know Kira. Meanwhile, Rei was still waiting for his motorbike to be repaired. The mechanic said that the plug of Rei's motorbike had been accidentally turned off by someone. Because usually, the motor plug will not just die. Then the girls who previously saw Kira and Kirishima come and tell Rei about what they saw earlier. Rei immediately realized that Kira was in danger. On the other hand, it turns out that Kirishima took Kira into an empty warehouse. Kirishima purposely invited Kira to that place because he wanted to kill her. Kirishima still sees Kira as a barrier between himself and the Rei's character he dreams of. Kira was surprised to see Kirishima, who was already carrying a knife, and she became panicked and frightened. Meanwhile, Rei was running towards where Kira and Kirishima were. At the same time, Kira was struggling to run away from Kirishima, but she fell down, and he almost stabbed her with a knife. Fortunately, Rei came and managed to save Kira at the last minute. Rei was furious and almost killed Kirishima, but Kira held him back. That night, after the incident, Kira treated the wounds on Rei's body. The atmosphere became steamy, and they both had sex that night. The next morning, due to yesterday's incident, Rei decided to learn mechanical skills from the mechanic who helped him the other day. The next day, Rei and Kira returned to the beach they had frequently visited before. They spent time together and feel happy having each other. Unfortunately, when Rei bought a cold drink, Kirishima suddenly came and stabbed him. Kirishima said that no one else can have Rei if he can't have it. Rei went back to Kira and fell on her lap. The scene changes to a time 1 year after the incident. Many sparkling lights indicate that the night of the Christmas celebration festival has arrived. Harumi and Tetsuya are now together, and Rei is seen looking at the Christmas tree alone, but he appears and approaches Kira not long after. It turns out that Rei managed to survive the stabbing incident last year. Kira and Rei promised to be together forever in front of a beautiful Christmas tree that night. The moral that can be learned from this movie is that trauma wounds from painful memories from the past can be healed with sincere love from others.